What do you say, everybody? Welcome to the Cubs Baseball Channel final show before the All-Star break, before the first half of the season, even though it's more than a half. But we're going to talk about these Cubs coming off of a dominant performance by Matthew Boyd. What are the Cubs looking for at the trade deadline? We've gotten to this a lot, but you see the importance of a starter in the way that things went for the Cubs on Friday compared to Saturday. What's it going to look like today? We'll talk about that and more. Got a great guest with us on the show. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, hit the bell, all the things I ask Cubs fans to do. And it felt like being the Cubs again. And today, the Cubs are hoping that they can make the Yankees look like the Cardinals again. How great was that game yesterday? What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie, Naren Desai joining us. This is like the mailbag show. Love it when you come on there and kind of bring that, that fan and someone that's locked in on Cubs perspective to the channel. And we try to do this every so often. But I love to hear from you. And guys, I'm at Broadcaster Mick on the socials. But appreciate everyone for being here and hanging out. And let's get this thing started. We see now how desperate the Cubs are for a starter. And Friday, we're just going to do one of these bullpen by committee type games. And it was an absolute shellacking, right? Cody Bellinger set a record, got a little payback, his pound of flesh. Well, then Matthew Boyd came in, a real starter, and beat Max Fried, one of the best in baseball. So maybe Matthew Boyd's better than Fried. Maybe he's the best in baseball, but what a game it was Saturday for the Cubs. But I think it illustrates the need that we've talked about on here, and we know Jed Hoyer's out looking for, but that's a new starter.
Yeah, I mean, today's game was great. The roller coaster, hopefully the Cub fans are all enjoying the roller coaster of one day we're in trouble. Yeah, I mean, this season's been crazy roller coaster of games. Yesterday's game, we looked like World Series bound, and then the day before with the bullpen game, we looked like we're in trouble. But yeah, we definitely need starters. I think we need more than one starter. I think we need multiple starters. And I think that Jed did a podcast this week with the Athletic guys, and I think he kind of showed his hand a little bit on what he's looking for.
So who do you think they could get, and how much are they willing to give up? And then the competition for these guys, and we've kind of talked about it. I think the ship has sailed on Sandy Alcantara. He just hasn't been able to figure anything out this year. He eventually will be good. We just don't know how long that is going to take, right? So what is it? Edwin Cabrera that they could possibly get in a deal from the Marlins. You got Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen with the Diamondbacks. We talked about Seth Lugo with the Royals. We don't know if those teams are really willing to make those trades. But those are the names that we've continued to hear pop up. I'm with you. I think they could use a starter or two. We'll talk about some internal options here in a second, but where do you think they're going to go? And then something we talked about too before this is that not all these teams are out of it yet.
Yeah, it's in a crazy season. If you look at the Red Sox are back in it. You're hearing and like we just Cleveland lost 10 in a row, but they went and swept the Astros, so they probably don't think they're out of it. Minnesota looked like they're out of it, but they've had a good last 10 games. So yeah, it's really tough to know who's in and out. I really think you're gonna see teams that truly are out, like the Orioles traded a good reliever for a draft pick. I mean, I see something like that where like a Charlie Morton and Eflin has been struggling. Jed kind of played his hand on this podcast a little bit. I think the Cub fans should go and listen to it. He really praised the 2021 Braves for going after guys that are having kind of weaker years, but had really good track records. So like a Charlie Morton and Eflin, they've been there, and the payroll's pretty high there, right? So where are the Orioles at? You combine that with some other bullpen guys that are making pretty good money. The Cubs could just buy those guys. It might not be about it. We want your best prospects. We want to save money, and who knows, maybe they want somebody that's, not in our AAA, group. So it just depends, I think, on a lot of that stuff. And look at the Braves. They're kind of dead, right? So they might have some guys they might want to be more on the bullpen side. They look like they're kind of dead. But I really think, the season's so fluid. You go win 5 in a row, you think you're back in it. I think the Diamondbacks, the Braves, those are the type, and the Orioles, and then obviously, Germán Marquez in Colorado's been looking good too. So It's like, those are some of the guys that I think they might not be the guys that finish the year with the, in terms of like the studs for the Cubs, but they could be the guys that give Boyd and a few of these other guys a break to see where we're at in mid-August.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, I remember those deals that the Braves made. Cubs traded Jock Peterson to the Braves that year. He was instrumental. They got Jorge Soler, Eddie Rosario, Adam Duvall, who just always seems to be with them, right?
Yeah.
And those deals really paid off. They also had, some other guys too that helped out. But I just, man, I don't know. Like, if that means that they're going to trade for Sandy Alcantara, like he's got a track record of winning a Cy Young and he's been really good, I just don't know. I mean, like, to me, every analytic that we look at, they love the analytics, tell you that none of it's working for him. I mean, he's not good against lefties. He's not getting whiffs. He's not striking batters out. Like, you can go through this whole list of things, and I don't know who they're kind of thinking about when it comes to that, or maybe this is just a way to try to go out and get some help without trading the farm system away, which they've, kind of started to do over the last year or so. But look, I mean, they got Michael Busch out of it. I mean, he's turned out to be a great player and a solid first baseman, one of the best producers in the league. So I don't know. I talked about the price that they've paid for Kyle Tucker, and a lot of that feels like just bad planning to me. But I mean, you love having them. So I guess part of it's what's available, but you're talking about for 2 starting pitchers. I mean, you're going to have to give up a lot just because everybody wants starting pitchers.
Right. But if Jed can figure out to thread the needle with a couple guys that maybe aren't, having the best years, like a guy like Jeffrey Springs on the Athletics, right? He was on the Rays. He's his first full year back from Tommy John. That's the thing with Alcantara. He's coming after Tommy John. So, like, a lot of times that takes a while, right? Who knows when it's going to click for him? It might not be till year 2, which is next year, which doesn't help us now. A guy like Jeffrey Springs, again, I don't think he's going to start, one of the first 3 games in October, but he's better than Jordan Wicks right now, because Jordan Wicks has not proven that he can handle the limelight of the big leagues right now. So, to me, and he's got another year left on his deal. So he could be a bridge guy for this season and then until Justin Steele comes back. So a guy like him, a guy like Morton, a guy, there's a few other guys like that. Like, I actually thought Walker Buehler, he's been terrible this year. He could get written. There's a rumor going around that the Cubs are scouting Shane Bieber with Cleveland. I heard that report, but he's still rehabbing. But again, he's coming off of Tommy John, right? So I don't know. Like, is that does it even make any sense, right? So I think that's the thing you're seeing right now. You're just seeing a lot of fluidity in the market because who's out of it, who's willing to deal. I'm a big fan of this guy Soroka, but I don't think he's a starter. Right. He might be a pitching weapon, but like a bridge guy, like a multi-inning guy in the playoffs or towards the end of the year. But I don't think he's gonna, go more than 4 or 5 innings if you use him right now in an effective ways. Third time through the order stats are pretty bad. So those are the things that I think you're going to see in terms of, but I do think that Jed needs to find some way to not have to trade Owen Casey for a rental or some of these other Jefferson Rojas, who's kind of breaking out in high A. Those are the guys you don't want to trade unless someone's like, we'll give you, a pitcher with control for 3 or 4 years, which is, again, very rare, at the deadline. And there's too many buyers, right? So those are the things I think you're going to see. But yeah, there's other guys too. I mean, you could also just strengthen the bullpen and just say, hey, we're going to go with Ray on these guys. But again, this whole thing is about wearing down through August and September, right? So you don't want to lose the season. You don't want to lose the division because of wearing down, because you have, all these bullpen guys that are great, but they'll wear down if you use them too much.
Yeah. That kind of leads me to my next thing, right? Like, Matthew Boyd illustrated this by basically saying that he's not going to be active for the All-Star team. right? He got selected, even though he's a starter. And he's like, I've thrown so many innings that, basically it sounded like they want to kind of keep him healthy. And it's a shame because he's not a perennial all-star. I mean, this is his year. And being a part of that is something that he earned. But at the same time, I don't disagree with this at all. I mean, his track record is that he gets hurt all the time. He's the nicest guy on the team, and he's the nicest guy. I pull for this guy type dude, right? And watching him dissect the Yankees, I mean, that Yankees lineup, they couldn't get him out on Friday. They just couldn't. And this guy comes in, it's like strike one, strike two, ground out, strike one, strike two, fly out. Like there weren't even that many hard plays. Like he just was in control, right? So I hope that continues. Now, I put this up there because you look at this bullpen, and it's kind of along the same thing, like can these guys, can Boyd keep going, but can the bullpen keep going? Watching Keller get knocked around in the ninth inning kind of makes you worry. Pomerantz, I mean, this is a guy that hadn't pitched in the big leagues in a long time. He's been great. Can that continue? I don't know. I mean, he's been just lights out. They went out and got all these veterans, and they've done well. But the problem is, are they going to be able to last? And is that something that the Cubs need to be thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's a big thing about being proactive, right, with the trade deadline, is to see if they can find some guys that experience that to pitch that 5th, 6th, 7th month of the season. I do worry. I do worry that Pomeranz and Keller and these guys are going to wear down. Even like Palencia, he's never pitched 6 months. He's AAA season's like it's 6 months, but not a complete 6 months like a major league season. Plus the 7 months. So that's a big thing. And even like a guy like Presley, like his velocity is down. He's way more effective than he was early. But, who can they get that, has proven that they can, really, really last through the last, 40 games plus October. And October's a very unique thing, right? With the schedule and the way they use bullpens now. So it's a very unique thing. But yeah, Keller might just need a break. I mean, I think his stuff is still pretty good, but he just might need a break. Again, these guys have been pitching a lot. I just went through the splits last 50 days, and some of these guys have pitched like 18, 20 of those days. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're also old, and you hope that maybe some of these young guys like Jackson Wiggins, who they shut down and pulled himself out of the futures game, if he doesn't get traded, I think he could be somebody that could help them in the bullpen immediately. I don't know if he'd have the stuff to be a starter. The other guy to me is Ben Brown. I mean, if you're not going to use him as a starter in the major leagues, and after watching that debacle of a game on Friday, I'm going, look, I might as well. Ben Brown would do better than this. I mean, if Ben Brown's got better stuff than Chris Flexen, so you took a guy that was good in your bullpen and you started him. And then, I hope that, and I don't like to use the term confidence a lot because I think a lot more goes into success than confidence, but he looked human. And then Jordan Wicks, who I thought would come in and get the job done, was just not good enough. And they send him back, and there just wasn't any answers. And I'm wondering, hey, look, Ben Brown to me would be better than what we got right now. Nothing, right? When they sent him down, you had 5 guys. Now you don't have 5 guys. Why not bring him back up? I don't know until you trade for somebody. But if you're not going to do that, let's get Ben Brown and use him in the bullpen, right? I mean, the funny thing about it is, like, we'll sit here and talk about them trading the future away with Owen Casey, who I've said on here publicly, and I'll say it over again. He's got the potential in his own way to be a Pete Crow Armstrong type of guy. Is he going to be flashy? Is he going to be the best defender in baseball? Is he going to run? No, but he's going to hit for power. He's going to be clutch. He's going to be a guy that you could bring off the bench from the left side of the plate and could do damage. He's killing AAA pitching again, which is, we've seen him do it every level. He's 23 years old, barely just turned 23 years old. This guy's about to hit his prime. Every team in baseball is licking their chops to see if the Cubs make a mistake and trade him. And I say, hey, look, I mean, you're going to trade him away. It's like, we'll figure out a way to use him on this team for a need that you have right now, which would be like maybe coming off the bench. I mean, I know he doesn't play the utility spots, but you know what? I mean, he could help you there maybe. And I look at Brown kind of along the same lines, and I'm like, hey, what if we used Brown as one of these late inning guys, because the bullpen seems like, it just feels like over the last week or so that you just can feel them kind of puttering out a little bit. Is that fair to say?
I mean, I think you see a little bit of like, the stuff is not as sharp, but I think that's just the grueling part of the season.
Right.
These guys pitch
Dog
too
days.
much.
It is the dog
The
days.
dog days. Yeah, July, August are the dog days in summer, and they pitch too much. These starters only go 4 or 5 innings, and then they have to pitch 3 out of 4 days. It's just, what do you expect, right? Like, if you pitch, you pitch the night before, you got to pitch again in the afternoon, the next day, twice in 24 hours. I mean, what do you expect, right? These guys aren't going to last forever. Look how much you're getting out of Ray, Boyd, these guys, Pomerez. I think they're getting a lot out of these guys. I think that's kudos to the pitching infrastructure and the coaching staff. But this is where Jed's got to really, he's proven his point, right? Like, now he's got to go, and hopefully Tom is ready to say, let's go. Come on, let's go get a couple. You only need really 8 pitchers, right, to win in October, right? You need 3 starters. You need 4 starters, but the 4th starter then is a bridge guy. The second time, he's not going to pitch twice. Then he's in the bullpen, and then you need 4 inning, bullpen guys, right? So you need 8 pitchers, right? And I think right now they have Shota, Boyd, and a few others, right? Horton, maybe he's a bridge guy. Obviously Palencia and a few other guys, right? So you have some, right? So this is where they can just finish the roster, which I think was always incomplete. And then I think you go from there. And then I still think they need help. Their bench is awful, right?
Yeah.
Like, the bench is awful. Bruhan and Birdie are not going to be on the bench when this team is complete, right? They're going to have to improve it. You're right. Maybe it's more like, maybe Moises is on the bench. Maybe Owen Case is on the bench in October, but they need a cup of coffee too, right? They got to get some experience, right? They got to get some experience, but they need a better bench, right? Shaw's not cutting it right now at third. So I think you're going to see some other guys too, the bench. I know we didn't even talk about that, in terms of what topics we want to hit on today, but they got to improve that bench. So they got to get creative, and I think we got to wait until the 30th and the 31st until some of this stuff happens. But I'm hoping that Jed can really find someone maybe sooner, so then we can give Boyd and some of these guys a break.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he's out there working hard on it. We've heard nothing but one rumor after another. We know that they're out there trying hard, and the scouts are at every minor league game watching all of their talent. They've shut down Jackson Wiggins since June the 20th. And saying he's going to start a month later again, which would be July 19th. It just feels like they're just trying to slow him down a little bit, keep the miles off of the car. So I think Jed's working hard to try to figure out what's available. The problem, and you mentioned it earlier, is that there's a lot of teams that are still in this. And, one team that's not in it is the Nationals, but they fired their front office. And so, I don't know if that changes their ability to trade. Baltimore, look at Baltimore. I figured they were out of it. They're like 7 games under 500 now. I mean, all of a sudden it's like, man, if they win a couple more games, they're 5 under going into the All-Star break with a bunch of momentum. They become a team that maybe they say, hey, you know what? Instead of selling, although they did sell one of the relievers for a first-round pick, maybe they buy. I mean, who knows, man? It's so weird because of the extra wild card spot. But I'm curious to see what happens. I'm also curious to see if Jed Hoyer gets an extension before this season's out. I'm surprised that they haven't done it yet. I feel like if they were going to do it, wouldn't you do it now? Or do you think they're just kind of still sitting back looking and going, hey, we're not really sure what's going on? Or do you think there's an agreement that we just don't know about?
Well, think about, I'm just speculating here now, but you did that show. You did the show on, why did we trade for Tucker and all this stuff, right? Giving up. Maybe Jed had to prove a point to Tom, right?
Yeah.
And say, look, we need a star. That's why Sea's better. That's why, we didn't know when Bush and PCA would be better. So maybe he's proven his point. And, obviously Craig has 3 more years on his deal. So to me, it makes sense to marry them, at the hip, give him a 3-year extension, given the success of the team this year and the master plan that I'm sure they have. You kind of wonder, that and then, if that's the case, then Jed's not going to mortgage the future, for just one October, because you don't know, this lineup went cold, on Friday, right? They went cold a couple games earlier, right? We can't predict an October performance, right? So we can't just assume that we should go for broke in this trade season, right? So I personally think that his extension's in the bag. And I think he's made his point. And I think that maybe Tom's like, yeah, I understand we're going to have to pony up for Tucker, and we're going to have to increase this payroll. You get up to 250, 260. I mean, look at the Phillies. They're 280. You know, it's not like you just have to compare us to the Dodgers. I mean, we got to be up to that two. I mean, the Blue Jays are 255, right? So
Right.
It's like it's not like these huge other markets are the only ones, right? So I think he's proven his point. I'm sure he's he's in the ear, told you so is going around in the front office halls, and now they need to really lean in, right?
Well, I'm curious to see though, if he's not signed, is it how this thing ends? Because we've been in this spot before, or at least we've had maybe not quite this spot, but and then the ending of the movie is never good, So maybe they're waiting to see how the whole thing ends. And we still have, the second half of the season after the post All-Star break coming up, and that's the business end of the season. I mean, it's when it really matters.
The Brewers,
right, and the Brewers. I don't know, man. They're like a gnat. It's hard to sit here and tell you that I'm that concerned about the Brewers. They're just that team that gets in the playoffs every year and loses. Like they're never a contender. I don't know. But they're hanging in there. Give them credit. I still don't think that it matters. I think you just got to focus on winning games, making the playoffs, and what Milwaukee's. I don't scoreboard watch Milwaukee. I think eventually they're gonna be a team to me that loses like 8 out of 9 and disappears, makes and is a wild card team. All right, I could be wrong, but that's how I feel about them. Like this. All right, here we go. Pre All-Star break Cubs best and worst. Let's start with the worst of the pre-Cubs. What do you think the worst of the season is this so far?
Oh man, I mean the worst is simply the injuries. I guess you could say Justin Steele.
Justin Steele, yeah.
That's got to be the worst. But I think Justin Turner has been disappointing for me because I really thought he was going to be like a bat that didn't play, like would be really dangerous because he wouldn't play as much, right? Like he would be kind of rested, and he would really help us with against left-handed pitching. I think that's like really disappointing. I mean, they paid him $6 million, so
never got that deal. Never got that deal.
I mean, like I just think that
right? Where they say he helps in the clubhouse, right? Like
he's a good club. I mean,
make him a coach.
So are a lot of guys that making the minimum, right?
Right. Well, the funny thing is, like Matt Caesar was great in the clubhouse, and then all of a sudden one day he's gone. Like it's like I mean I know it's it's not Theo, but I don't know. Like, yeah, I'm with you on the Turner thing, but he did hit a home run the other day in a 9-0 game. And it was cool. The guy that caught the ball gave him the ball back, and they met. And Turner's a great guy. Like it's not personal. Like but come on, man. You put him in the field. He can't catch like normal throws. Like it's just, I'm with you on that. I'd rather have an Owen Casey, even though he's a left-hander, or somebody else you're developing to get in that spot. If you're going to have somebody that's kind of over the hill, but I don't know. He's not the worst to me.
Well, Dansby with runners in scoring position is a big issue.
Oh, God. Dansby. And he's having a better year. His year was so bad last year. I don't even talk about him because I don't want to jinx it. Like him in scoring position, he comes up in a clutch spot late in the game. Just go ahead and mark it as an out. But his defense is good and his base running's good. Like Jason Hayward. Like it's not as bad as Hayward, but it is not that far away from that with him. I do like the power that he provides. I know Shaw struggled, but I knew that was going to happen. I hear you on the Steele thing. That was terrible, and we could so use him right now. But that's how baseball is. Like he had this problem last year, so they knew that it was there. And they were going to try to, figure out if rest and all that stuff was going to work through it. Remember? And then all of a sudden, like he's having the surgery. So hopefully he'll come back and be ready to go. But the worst to me was just watching the Yankees just wallop that no fifth starter, like watching that bullpen game, like out of all the games this year, I was watching that. I'm like, is this really this is the best that we have? Right? This is the best. Like we did this. So I'm hoping that changes and that we go out and we that the Cubs go out and can make a deal for a fifth starter. But yeah, losing Steals, I mean, you probably win that one. That's the worst. All right, what's the best of the pre-All-Star break Cubs?
Well, the best has got to be I think the franchise changing performance of PCA. I mean, I just think that, like, we talked about it. Even if Tucker wouldn't resign, I mean, PCA could bat second next year, no problem, right? And I think that changes the franchise completely. You combine him with a Tucker and a Bush, I mean, you just have a way different future of the franchise because of him. And let's just hope this is just the beginning. I just think that he changes everything. I think, pitching starts to thin out like in mid-August, right, in the major leagues outside of the top teams. Yeah. So I mean, he could really do 40-40. I mean, it's gonna be wild to see how the length of the season plays out for him, because I just think that he's getting started. I just think, like I said, he's built for this.
Yeah, he's got to walk more. That's the only thing I look at, and I've always thought that about his game. He's very aggressive, but he turns a walk into a double or a triple, and he's so fast and he's so dangerous on the bases. I agree with you. I mean, you hit them both, right? I mean, Pete Crow Armstrong's emergence, I knew he was going to be good. You know it. I mean, you've been watching since the beginning. I said that from the very start when he was struggling, and I turned on David Ross because I just thought that he wasn't handling Pete Crow Armstrong the right way. I didn't feel like they ever made him feel comfortable. I could tell he just didn't have the swag. Now you see the swag, but I didn't know he was going to be this good. He's even better than I thought, and I thought he was going to be a really, really good player. At least he had a half of that is unbelievable, right? And he's in the MVP conversation. But I got to say this, like the entire deal, right? And I talked about it on a show yesterday. The entire business part of the deal to get Tucker to me was bad. But Tucker to me is still such a difference maker. And I get it, right? So when I say that, and I'm going to keep saying that because that's what I believe that as a business person, I look at that and I'm like, the way that you got there, it shows a lack of planning and a lack of creativeness and a lack of using your resources, but you got there, right? So this guy is really good, and he makes such a big difference to the roster. And so maybe, like you said, it's like, hey, we did it the way we had to do it. We didn't have any other choice. Hey, we're a little bit desperate over here to try to get it done. This is it. We're going out in a blaze of glory, and we're going to go out with this guy instead of Bellinger. Hey, I get it. He made everybody on the team better. His defense is great. He's a tough out. He gives you, no matter where he is in the lineup, you're always thinking about where he is. And so even with that criticism, that little bit of criticism about all the resources that you spent to get him, I still think that if you sign him, he's worth it. That's it. If you don't sign him and we don't win, then I'm not real happy about it, because you're going to be like, to take a step back, and who knows, maybe we're right back to where we were 2 years ago, unless Owen Casey steps up into that spot and emerges as a player that I think he could be. And that's someone that is a cleanup batter that you don't want to face. He's never going to be Tucker. He's not as good of a all-around player as Tucker, but he is dangerous. He's only going to get better because he's going to grow into a man. He's going to get man strength. You get rid of both of those guys, and then I got a problem with the whole thing, right?
One thing you have to factor in is, I was talking to my buddy this morning on text. He's a Dodger fan. And if you think of how to match up against the Dodgers in October, not right now, I'm talking about October, it is really hard to thread that needle, right? Without a guy like Tucker, if you look at like the Cubs, not just this year, but down the line, you got to have a really good team, because they've got Snell and Glasnow and Shohei and Roki and Kershaw. They have so many guys, right? So that's the thing that Jed probably had to prove a point. And you have to think of also the human factor too, is that if Jed gets fired, he'll get another job. Not the president's job, but he'll get another job. But the rest of the guys, like the rest of the front office, they're going to be all scattered through Major League Baseball trying to get jobs.
Hold on. And I've thought about this too. Don't be surprised if they don't get rid of Jed and promote somebody within the organization that they like better. So that might not happen like that. It could be somebody else in there that they're looking at going, we don't want to totally blow this up, but we just don't believe in this leadership, because that's a real possibility here too. So think about that too, as you say that, because you're right. Like if they blow it up and go get somebody from somewhere else, they're going to bring in their whole new staff. But I don't necessarily think that it's going to be a situation where they wouldn't promote somebody within that they feel like kind of matches what they're doing. Like Chris Getz, when he took over the White Sox, right? Somebody within the organization that they feel comfortable with, that they know that matches maybe more of, they're just kind of wore out on the Jed and Theo thing, and they're ready to find someone else. But yeah, good points. All right, final game versus New York. Cubs look for a series victory. So if you guys are watching before the game today at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, Will Warren against Shota Imanaga. Warren 6-4, 4.70 ERA. Imanaga 5-3, 2.80 ERA. I just can't throw enough praise on Shota Imanaga. I mean, the guy gets hurt, and the whole time he's working his ass off to get back out on the field again. He has lived up to everything you could ask for. And we've kind of gotten on talked about this on here before, but I love the way that the Japanese players come in and have an impact. I've always loved those guys and the Venezuelans, like those two to me. And I'm not saying anything bad about any other nationality. I'm just saying, like, just culturally speaking, the way that they play the game, I think it just seems like every time one comes in, like they're just really focused on the things that help you win. I mean, you understand that's a fair statement?
Oh yeah. You see how the Venezuelan team played in the World Baseball Classic? I mean, they were locked in. They just wanted to win, and they wanted to just play with that attitude.
They play up here, man.
A lot of pride.
I watched the way that those guys play. I've watched 3,000 games or something. I don't know, 1,000,000 games. And I can almost I can watch the way that they play, and I can say that guy's from Venezuela. It's footwork, it's discipline, it's positioning, it's hustle, it's maturity. I don't know. It's like, and then when I watch the Japanese guys, like, some of the same things, but then it's like this team culture and the humor that they bring. Like that they're serious, but at the same time, like they get the off the field stuff. How funny is Seiya Suzuki? I mean, the whole Seiya Suzuki, Pete Crow Armstrong dynamic to me is one of the best parts of this entire season, right? And then Shota's, gets up there, learns a lot, learns enough English to get up there and make you laugh. But when the lights go on and it's time to play, he's Mr. Serious. I've just enjoyed those guys, and who knows? Maybe the Cubs could find somebody else that would slide in and kind of fit in there as well and help this team get to the World Series. But prediction before we get out of here. Second half prediction. Will the Cubs win the division?
Yeah, I think the Cubs are going to win the division. I'm probably too big of a homer to think any other way. I definitely think they're going to win the division. To me, the real prize is one of those top two seeds, and that to me is still in question.
Right. Fangraphs gives the Cubs a 64.9% chance to win the division. The Brewers are up to 30 now. They're a 92.3% chance to make the playoffs. Brewers are 77%. And the Cubs are 6.2% chance team to win the World Series. And the Brewers are 4.4%. Dodgers are down to 20% to win the World Series, about 21%. Phillies have the second best World Series odds in the National League at 11.2% to win it. And then in the American League, the Tigers are at 11.1 and the Yankees are 9.4. So, I mean, Dodgers are overwhelming favorites right now to win the World Series. I see their pitching starting to kind of get healthy. You're hearing Blake Snell's going to be back soon. I watched Tyler Glasnow pitch against the Brewers the other day. Shohei Ohtani's out there, and every time you turn around, there he is. Couple more, here's 2 innings of gas at 101 miles an hour. So these are all things that we need to keep in mind, not to say that it's going to be the Cubs and the Dodgers, but you're going to have to go through the Dodgers to win the National League and the World Series this year. I think that's a fair statement. Darren, thanks again for coming on and hanging out, man. I love you in the comment section. I think that everyone that's been part of our channel knows you from in there and loves kind of the banter. That's what we're all about. And coming up, we got something that's really cool that we're going to be getting involved in, a Web3 Cubs baseball channel group that we're going to put together. It's kind of where the internet's going right now, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It'd be kind of like taking the message board to the next level. So think about that, guys, as we move forward. But let's enjoy this All-Star break. And thank you, guys, and go Cubs. Great show.